As you can see, markets have been liquidated as a result of the U.S. strikes against Iran. We're going to talk about the implications of this and how it has affected the cryptocurrency market. And then I'd like to open up a discussion in the comment section regarding whether this should be a buy signal or what people plan on doing as a result of these price drops. Temporary in most cases, because we know the trajectories of these things, right? So we got an article from Decrypt, and it's titled "Crypto Market Liquidations Top 701 Million as U.S. Strikes Hit Iran's Nuclear Facilities." It's like the strikes also hit the cryptocurrency market, right? Ethereum led the crypto market sell-off Sunday morning after U.S. President Donald Trump ordered strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. Now, one thing that we know is that geopolitical uncertainty and macroeconomic factors always contribute to a decline in the price of quote unquote risk on assets. Okay, so right now, if I'm not mistaken, we got XRP under $2. We got Solana under $140, and we got Bitcoin under $100,000. I like those prices. The reason why I like those prices is because I have no intent to sell anything anytime soon. So these are wonderful prices for me to get as much crypto as I can in the short amount of time while this dip is occurring. All right, because we don't know how long this dip is going to be around. Crypto prices tanked Sunday morning after U.S. conducted strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. Ethereum led the sell-off among the top 20 cryptocurrencies by market cap, dropping 7.4% on the day. Users on prediction market Myriad turned bearish on Ethereum, with over 70% expecting it to close out the year below $2,000. Now, we got to remember this, and we're going to see where Ethereum closes out the year at. Regardless of what these people on these prediction markets say, I'm going to continue to buy. And I'm going to tell you what, as long as Ethereum, if it does go below $2,000, I'm absolutely going to be, reorganizing my investment strategy and getting as much Ethereum as I possibly can. The crypto market took a battering on Sunday morning as 600 million in long positions were liquidated following U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities. Crypto liquidations topped 701 million, according to CoinGlass data, of which the vast majority, 618.69 million, were long positions. The total market capitalization of all cryptos dipped to 3.25 trillion, down 4.4 on the day per CoinGecko. Okay. Ethereum liquidations over the past 24 hours totaled 296 million, with 269 million attributed to long positions. Meanwhile, Bitcoin liquidations reached 152 million, comprising 125 million in long positions. Now, this is the thing that fascinates me. Most experienced investors, they know that this is a short-term situation, right? So you have a lot of different things that could possibly be influencing these prices. You have the natural macroeconomic situation of the geopolitical uncertainty caused by the U.S. strikes on Iran. That's one thing, right? This is a natural cause that we understand is going to push the markets down. While the markets are being pushed down, in my opinion, there's a high probability that whales and experienced investors are also using their large volume of holdings to push the price down even further, to try to squeeze out retail investors and be able to scoop up all those coins at the low price. Now, you might be a whale, you might not be. However, if you understand this price activity and you understand these buying behaviors, then you know you're in the market to hold, right? You're in the market to hold. So there shouldn't ever be any sell pressure for you if you're in the market to hold. So you don't get shaky hands. This is the time to take a look at what you're investing in, see if the price is right for you, and then make the appropriate action. The appropriate action for me is always be buying, right? Definitely always buy when you are fortunate enough to be liquid during a situation like this. It's a deep discount on a asset that's going to have forever increasing value. All right. Of the top 20 cryptocurrencies, the brunt of the losses was borne by Ethereum, down 7.4% in the past 24 hours to $2,260, and Cardano down 7.1%. Bitcoin held relatively steady, down 1.4% on the day to 102,418. And I believe since this article was written, or since this article was published, Bitcoin is down further than that. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the price is currently 98,000, around that range. If people in the comment section could drop the Bitcoin price at the time of watching this video, it would be greatly appreciated. On decentralized prediction markets platform Myriad, users turned bearish on Ethereum with the moon to 3,000 or dip to 2,000, market shifting from near even odds to over 70%, expecting the price of Ethereum to drop below $2,000 by the end of the year. Okay. In a post on the Truth Social platform Sunday morning, President Donald Trump announced that the U.S. had carried out, quote unquote, very successful attacks on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated, Trump said in a follow-up address to the nation. It looks like they also hit the cryptocurrency markets and have completely obliterated some crypto as well, right? The raid saw B-2 bombers strike Iran's fortified uranium enrichment facility at Fordo, while sites at Natanz and Isfahan were hit by submarine-launched Tomahawk missiles, according to the U.S. Defense Department officials speaking to CBS News. The attacks mark a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran, with Israeli officials stating that they were in full coordination with the U.S. in planning the operation. So what people should understand about that is during this time of geopolitical uncertainty, it had been stated that, quote unquote, in most cases, the United States would not get involved with this situation in Israel. And then, boom, the United States decided to not only get involved, but take the lead on airstrikes on the Iranian nuclear manufacturing facilities. Again, I don't know what implications that could possibly have, possibly a deterioration in trust. A deterioration in trust could lead to even more deterioration of trust in the certainty of the United States dollar, possibly pushing the value of the dollar down lower. We shall see how that plays out. Okay. In a subsequent post on Truth Social, Trump stated that any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, warned of everlasting consequences and stated that the country reserves all options to defend its natural sovereignty. Now, I am absolutely curious in regards to this situation, what the UN has to say about it. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think the UN, the United Nations, will say about this situation with the United States, Iran, and Israel. Okay. On Polymarket, prediction markets indicate that the odds of an Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz before July are up 46%, up from a low of 9% the previous day, while the odds of it occurring by the end of the year have risen to 57%, up from a low of 31% the day before. However, predictors remain sanguine on the chances of the U.S. officially declaring war on Iran before July, putting the odds at just 2%. So with this development, all of these expected bull markets and wonderful outcomes for cryptocurrency may possibly be on hold as a result of what we have going on with the Iran situation. I don't know. Maybe it could possibly resolve sooner than we think. It may not resolve sooner than we think. But these things are definitely going to affect the price. All right. We have another article here from Crypto News, and it says Bitcoin price prediction already down. Iran attacks send Bitcoin price to $102,760 by the dip. Now, here's the thing, right? When it comes to quote unquote things that I've said in the past, one thing that I've said in the past is that anytime Bitcoin is below $100,000, it increases your probability and ability of being able to get a full Bitcoin, which is the idea, right? You should always be trying to get a full Bitcoin. If you have a full Bitcoin, try to get more Bitcoin. If you have percentages of Bitcoin, try to maximize the percent of a Bitcoin that you have, right? What these prices can be looked at is difficulty, right? How these prices can be looked at is difficulty. It becomes increasingly difficult to obtain a full Bitcoin as the price of a Bitcoin increases, right? It becomes increasingly more possible to obtain a full Bitcoin as Bitcoin prices decrease. So price action when it comes to Bitcoin acquisition, in my opinion, should be looked at as ongoing difficulty adjustments and readjustments. Right now, we have a difficulty adjustment in the direction of easing your ability to acquire Bitcoin with the prices under $100,000, right? So let's take a look at what they have to say here. Bitcoin has dropped sharply as geopolitical tensions rise, down to $102,760 as risk assets sell off. And again, we should understand these patterns, right? Because what the charts say should influence our buying activity, because we are buyers, not sellers. We are holders, right? We're not part of the flush out gang, okay? The decline follows a major escalation in the Middle East, where U.S. military forces struck Iran's nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, expanding the Israel-Iran conflict. This geopolitical shock triggered imminent market reactions, okay? With investors moving into traditional safe haven assets like gold and the US dollar. I'm not sure why they would do that. Gold, I can understand. US dollar, not too sure about. Bitcoin, seen as a speculative asset during times of high volatility, fell 9% from its monthly high of $111,800 to $101,053. And I'm not exactly sure why they're using the monthly high as the benchmark of where Bitcoin fell from, because it didn't fall from there. It fell from what the price was before the strikes, which it wasn't at the all-time high during the strikes. Bitcoin has been trading sideways at near the all-time highs, maybe like between 90 and 96% of the all-time high. So it's kind of an unfair statement, in my opinion. At the time of the writing, Bitcoin is at $102,777 with over 47 billion in daily volume. The risk-off tone intensified after Iranian officials condemned the strikes and threatened retaliation. Iran's foreign minister called for an emergency UN meeting, while Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned of the situation, quote unquote, getting out of control. This sent equities and digital assets into a tailspin, with Bitcoin leading the way. And I don't know if I would necessarily say Bitcoin was leading the way. I don't think that Bitcoin is down further percentage-wise than other assets. As we can see on the side right here, it shows Bitcoin down negative 4.33%. Ethereum is down negative 10%. So how Bitcoin is quote unquote leading the way can only be in dollar value. And the reason why it's in dollar value is because Bitcoin per unit is so much higher than everything else. If you look at it percentage-wise, which is how people should look at it, Bitcoin, for the most part, is relatively stable. The U.S. strikes have deepened global fears of a wider war involving Israel, the U.S., and Iran. As tensions rose, Israel closed its airspace. Iran threatened key military and nuclear sites in the region, and media reports emerged of bunker-busting bombs and Tomahawk missiles used in the operation. Okay. When the IAEA confirmed no radiation leaks, the psychological impact was big. Fears of disruption to global trade, energy markets, and long-term regional security sent traders running. And again, I don't know why this happens. As long as these people have been in investments and as long as these people have watched the markets, you would think that there would be some learning curve and that a large amount of people would kind of stop reacting to geopolitical issues like this. They know that the market is going to rebound. Now, if the market is being strategically pushed down by people who hold large shares of some of these risk-on assets, that's a different story. But when we're looking at the chart activity, it's kind of hard to know exactly what's going on with pockets of people, but you can make assumptions. And you can make assumptions by looking at what large investment companies that have been around for a long time, like BlackRock and Fidelity, are doing, right? Bitcoin's role as a hedge has again been called into question as it's behaving like a risk asset during times of global stress. And again, I don't know if I would necessarily say that. But that's what they're saying. Former President Donald Trump's comments saying the strikes were a big success only added to the fears of further escalation. With diplomacy stalled and Iran warning of consequences forever, the crypto market is uncertain, which again, if we look at the uncertainty of the crypto market is uncertain even during times of geopolitical stability, right? So again, I don't know. Unless the political situation stabilizes, Bitcoin will likely continue to underperform as traders reduce risk. And again, there's always risk of not having Bitcoin as well. So we should ask the question, what will whales be doing during this time? And that's my question for you guys. What do you all think that whales will be doing? Do you want to become a whale? If you want to become a whale, then you should do what whales are doing, right? Bitcoin technical analysis, still cautionary. From a technical perspective, the Bitcoin price prediction remains bearish. I don't know how you could say that the Bitcoin price prediction remains bearish when we have a lot of these large acquisition firms calling for $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $1 million Bitcoin. But these are people who are looking at the immediate versus people who are looking at the long term. The 2-hour chart, clearly immediate, shows price action stuck in a descending channel with lower highs and lower lows. Bitcoin failed to retest 103,932, the 50-period EMA, which is now acting as a resistance. A series of small candles at $102,900 indicates indecision, but no bullish reversal patterns such as Morningstar or 3 white soldiers have formed to change the trend. Momentum is weak with the MACD signals flatlining below zero and the histogram not recovering. Bitcoin did briefly touch support at $101,478 before bouncing with a lower wick. So buyers are defending that level for now. And again, the reason why is because there's a high demand for cheap Bitcoin. Right. So the buyers are waiting for Bitcoin to bottom out to go back in and scoop up the Bitcoin while it's bottomed out. And that dip buying behavior is going to push the market up to a resistance. All right. Until price breaks above $104,031 and out of the descending channel, the short term is bearish. And again, short term is bearish. Who cares about the short term? We're buying for long term. We're buying now for 2030 prices, right? Any bounce is likely corrective, not a reversal. All right. So this is what they came up with in their conclusion. Bitcoin's drop to $102,760 is a sign of investors reducing risk in the Middle East chaos. With macro headwinds getting stronger and no technical confirmation of a bottom, traders should be cautious. A true buy the dip opportunity may require a ceasefire or confirmed breaks above resistance. So what that's saying is that until there's some type of confirmation that the Middle East tensions are over, we could be witnessing lower lows and lower highs, which if you're a Bitcoin long-term buyer, lower lows and lower highs are always a buy signal, because we're not buying for in what happens in 2 hours. We're buying for what happens in 20 years, right? So that should be what determines your strategy. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. Let me know where you guys think the market is heading. Let me know how long you think these Middle East geopolitical uncertainties will impact the crypto market, and let me know what you plan on doing. If you plan on getting flushed out, or if you plan on buying and holding for the long term. I appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you drop a comment, make sure you please share this video to your social media, and I will catch you on the next video. All right, peace.